The phoenix, a mythological bird that achieves an essential immortality through dying by combusting into self-induced flames, then rising again, reborn from the ashes of its previous self, or, depending on the source material, less impressively by simply dying, decomposing, then being born again. Considerably less theatrical. The phoenix appears in many ancient stories, texts, legends, and writings, but has such a magnificent lore that it still appears in more modern tales and cultural references. Just like a newborn phoenix wrought from the ash, a common saying attributed to a rejuvenation or a fresh start. Fawkes, the trusty sidekick companion to Albus Dumbledore. Even the name of the city in Arizona, seemingly hot enough to cause inhabitants and visitors alike to live the legends of the bird. And in Marvel Comics, the X-Men to be precise, perhaps one of the most known tales, the Phoenix Saga, where fans witnessed an incredible tale of Jean Grey reaching her true potential and the unfortunate result of the corruption that power can cause. Subjected to the extreme radiation of a massive solar flare, Jean is originally believed to be dead, sacrificing herself to save the X-Men team she had ventured into space with. Cosmos, space, radiation, powers. Check. Jean was not dead, though. With these newly unlocked abilities, Jean was able to return, but assumed the identity of the Phoenix, resurrected as the Phoenix. It wasn't long until this got the attention of an ancient secret society called the Hellfire Club. No, unfortunately, no Eddie here, but there is an Emma. I bet she can shred. This Hellfire Club used their powers to manipulate Jean into believing she was someone else, leading her down a dark path that resulted in unlocking a pure evil within called the Dark Phoenix. Now, a quick aside that later stories did change Jean and the Phoenix or Phoenix Force to be separate entities that combined to appear as one, much like what is seen in the most recent film adaptation of the Phoenix Saga. Yeah. This Dark Phoenix ultimately becomes a danger to not only the X-Men or to humanity, but to entire planets and the cosmos as a whole. After devouring an entire planet, she draws the attention of intergalactic empires seeking to stop this danger by any means necessary. There begins a massive struggle and controversy between how to stop her and who to stop her that only ends when Jean, yet again, makes the impossible decision to sacrifice herself. This may have been the supposed end of the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix, but now fans and collectors can see a beginning, or perhaps a resurrection, of this incredible character in their collections. A collection resurrection. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and in this episode we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends 6-inch scale classic Dark Phoenix. Hey everyone, welcome back. Here it is, the Marvel Legends Phoenix Saga, Dark Phoenix, the classic version. Classic being the type of packaging for it, so it's always fun to see this packaging. It just reminds me of way back in the day, the way the package used to be, like the Toy Biz versions and all that. Looking around here on the back, you can see the renderings of the other characters in the line. We got Wolverine, Dark Phoenix, of course, Longshot, Multiple Men, Avalanche, and Spiral, all coming soon as far as us opening and reviews. Little bit of information about Dark Phoenix with that kind of simple drawing to it. No side views really to speak of because it's just a side view of a very thin card and a bubble, so that is for this side as well as this side. And then around here back to the front we have that comic book cover style packaging, the Uncanny X-Men Phoenix Saga, Dark Phoenix down there at the bottom. Again, very much like the old Toy Biz type figures that we saw back in the day. Of course, a slightly larger presentation as we're dealing with a slightly larger scale of figure and a much nicer quality figure if you just look at it right there. And matching that artwork there to the left of it almost perfectly. And then you can see the Phoenix flame on her hand as well as the accessory packaged in there with it. But we can spend all day talking about this and the packaging and how lovely it looks. But that's not what we came here for. So without further ado, let's break into this one. Alright, there she is, the mutant formerly known as Jean Grey, aka the Phoenix, aka the Dark Phoenix. What a very cool looking figure. I was excited for this one to come in ever since the pre-orders started for it. So just, I can already tell a very excellent representation of this character. But let's take a closer look. First and foremost, let's take a look at the head sculpt on this one, right? So very well done, I'm going to go ahead and say. Now it does have the action hair to it, so One thing about that, I know some people are a little against it, some don't prefer it. I mean, I'm indifferent about it, I'll say, because it helps for a very cool pose. It helps with the attitude of the character. Granted, it is fixed in that one position, but kind of the same thing as if it was fixed in a straight or fixed brushed position. I don't know how to word that other than that. But anyway, so the coloring and everything on it is very well done. I do love the paint work on the hair. It's that dark red, but then it has an even darker red, maybe even a little bit of a black in there just to kind of bring highlights to the different pieces of hair and just really add shadow and even depth to it as a result. So it looks very good. Even back here on the back, just the big clumps just kind of going wild, and you can kind of see it looks like there's a bit of a power, energy, or wind gust coming up there because, obviously she spends a lot of time in the air, a lot of flying, a lot of fire. And then in the face with the whited out eyes and the shadows around them, definitely has that very possessed look to it. And it's a somewhat calm but also menacing look on the face. Also, the sculpt of the face is very simple because it's more of a comic book style. We're not trying to match any kind of human or actor or actress's face, but it is very well done. The simplicity actually works very well for it. Okay, so let's check out the mobility of it, right? So let's try some side to side here. Not bad, right? Especially considering the hair being something that could potentially get in the way, right? But it kind of rocks side to side on the back, and just this little bit here will hit the shoulder just to kind of impact it, but really not bad considering now the neck is attached to the torso, as you can see. Up and down, I'm not very optimistic because the back, we've got this massive bit kind of holding it in place right there. And then down, same thing, this front piece kind of blocks it from sliding down. So you can do it if you force it, but it just moves right back into position, as you can see. But regardless, that's okay. Just not a whole lot of options. Maybe if she's looking sideways, she can look down a little bit just by the way that the sculpt will shift. And it does kind of work. It adds to the attitude, especially with the hair blowing out like that. And here's something that I'm not optimistic. Let's see if it'll work. Oh, look at that. We've got halfway, all the way. Look at that. Of course, the Dark Phoenix can do the full Exorcist rotation. She nailed it. Just a little bit of repositioning, moving the head around to make the hair go over the shoulders and whatnot, but it worked just fine. Speaking of the shoulders, let's take a look at the mobility of that. Not bad, right? No butterfly joint, of course, on there, but still pretty good with up and down, and we've got full rotation. We do have bicep, tricep on this. We do have a double pinless elbow, so happy to see that. And look at that flexibility on that. That is fantastic. No forearm rotation, but we do have wrist rotation, and it does have the up and down, or the forward back, or the supinate and pronate, I should say. Right, and we have a fist here, and we have a fist on the other side, and the same flexibility and articulation with the other arm. Moving to the mid-torso, we have that full range of motion right there, so forward, back, and all around. It's nice to see that. It would also be nice to see my focus cooperating. My arm's definitely messing it up being in frame right there. There we go. So we got full range of motion on that. So if you're arching the back, pretty good right there, right? And then if we shift it forward, also not a bad crunch going on that. It does help kind of make up for the lack of any kind of waist rotation, as you can see. So there's not any capability of movement there, but this will help make up for it. And then, of course, in the legs, decent flexibility there, right? Not quite a full split unless we just really kind of pull it. But if we pull it, it does more than what it's supposed to do. Would love to see some more of those drop downs like we see with the G.I. Joe line. But upper thigh, we do have a nice line right there for rotation. We've got a double pinless knee. So yet again, good to see. Excellent flexibility right there, because it helps with the streamline of this costume, right? It's supposed to be a skin tight costume, right? It is from that period of time where everything was absolutely skin tight. I mean, heck, what costume in comic books isn't? Foot forward and backwards, not bad. And then a good old ankle breaker on that. It helps when there's not a massive boot or anything, or any kind of sculpting to get in the way on that. It does allow for a lot of range of motion on that. So very good. Forward kick, backward kick, not too bad beyond what we would normally have. And then paint apps, just from looking at it and breezing through this thing, I don't see anything really standing out, right? The hair painted very well, the face painted very well, no opportunity showing through. Even the Phoenix logo right here on the torso and the chest, it seems to be very well applied. A decent bit of yellow so that we don't really have that orangish red showing through. But you can also kind of see that there was orangish red that is part of this paint application. There's a little bit of a line. I think they did that maybe to help make sure that it applied properly. It looks like it's all one kind of piece that gets painted on at once. You can see there's a line that goes all the way around it. So however they decided to do it, they did it and they executed it well. A little bit of a different finish between the shoulders, the upper thigh, and then the next piece. You can see kind of the plastic just has a slight bit of a difference to it. But there we go. All in all, good figure. I like the sash here. It doesn't stay in place very well, but it sets very well on the hips. And then we have the gold Phoenix logo right there. With the fixed position of these, it would be nice for them to have like a wire in them or something that would allow it to move a little bit more, especially since we want to have action for this figure, especially being the Phoenix. So I'm going to set her down real quick. And then, of course, we have the typical spell casting style hands that we see quite often with these female figures, right? They haven't really changed the sculpt of that one or the style, but it does work to have that, especially when we have that the Phoenix Fire piece that kind of goes with it, right? It will work a whole lot better than just the fisted hand. And it is designed, as you can see, to kind of rest on that hand. And that Phoenix is sculpted very well out of this translucent orange plastic that kind of fades into a darker reddish orange, and then it gets a little bit lighter as it goes down. So excellent accessories with this figure. Well, that about brings us from the ashes into the end of this episode. Thank you for taking the time to join us, as always. Now, if we ever do a review of something that you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JK Collects Toys so we can help with the search if we don't already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments, and let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more YouTube will recommend us, so we can hopefully reach even more collectors and help them find the things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we have some links on your screen right now for you to check out. And remember, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.